At the heart of unfulfilling relationships is a fundamental disconnection from something many of you have been conditioned to deny yourselves: pleasure. And by pleasure, I don't mean temporary satisfaction or indulgence, but genuine connection with your body, your intimate desires, creative passions, and intellectual curiosities. An authentic experience of pleasure without guilt is the foundation of healthy relationships. And most importantly, knowing when to say yes and when to say absolutely not. In this video, we'll explore how reconnecting with your true desires, physically, emotionally, sexually, and even spiritually, can transform your relationships. We'll have a look at why so many people unintentionally compromise their deepest needs in the name of love and harmony, leading to resentment and increased dissatisfaction in relationships. I'll also show you how to break free from that cycle and rediscover pleasure as the foundation of true connection. Hi, my name is Aaran Solh, and I'm the founder of Alchemy. I'm a relationship coach and spiritual counselor, and for the past 25 years I've been helping people just like you to connect better to themselves and to others. Now let's dive in to pleasure. Many relationships struggle because partners compromise their happiness, consistently overlooking their own desires and joys for the sake of harmony. And while compromise can be valuable when taken too far, it leaves both individuals feeling completely depleted and disconnected from their authentic selves. True pleasure involves genuinely honoring your physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, and sexual desires and curiosities. And the emphasis here is on curiosities, because honestly, we don't always know what we truly desire. Relationships need to be a safe space when experimentation and encouragement on all levels is fundamental. If you don't have a partner who validates you and encourages you to feel satisfied and who is satisfied by the same things, the relationship will eventually take a dive. One of the single most common causes of frustration in a relationship is when partners get together before they really know themselves. Often in these scenarios, individuals will try to adapt and follow the lead of the other, at least in certain areas of life. It could mean one partner lets the other decorate the home to their liking, while the home decorator follows the other partner's lead in the bedroom. But trying to mold oneself to be what the other wants is the biggest mistake there is, and the cause of so much heartbreak. So what's the cure? Knowing yourself. Knowing what's healthy for you, what makes you happy in the long run, what gives you pleasure in the here and now, and being clear when what's in front of you isn't that. Understanding your pleasure dimensions ensures you and your partner can connect deeply, enhancing authenticity and fulfillment in your relationship. But admittedly, going this route is also dangerous. Being committed to authenticity could also mean that once you get to know yourself better, you may realize that you and your partner aren't compatible in certain ways and never will be. But the difficulty of knowing that is still better than living in your comfort zone and never truly getting to know yourself. Deepening your self-awareness is crucial to experiencing authentic pleasure. The more intimately you know yourself, the more confidently you can communicate your needs and desires to your partner or find the right one to help you truly grow. The more intimately you know yourself, the more confidently you can communicate your needs and desires to your partner or find the right one to help you truly grow, explore yourself, or build a family with. One of the problems many people face when starting to truly embrace pleasure is guilt. This guilt often comes from societal conditioning, upbringing, or cultural beliefs that label pleasure as indulgent, selfish, or unproductive, even sinful in some cases. Overcoming this guilt involves recognizing these underlying beliefs and consciously challenging them. So once again, self-awareness and complete devotion to knowing who you truly are is essential. I can't emphasize enough how knowing yourself better will lead you to having more perfect relationships. This includes both romantic ones as well as friendships and family connections. Of course, the paradox of this is that relationships help you grow and get to know yourself, so you need them to be part of your process, even if you know in advance that they are only steps along the path to somewhere else. as everything in life is. So you can't wait until you know yourself perfectly to enjoy romance. It's just important to acknowledge to yourself and your partner that as you continue to grow, you may develop other curiosities and desires, and that's okay. Being honest about your process with your partner is always essential. Not only because you don't want to hurt other people in the process of getting to know yourself, but because it's actually adventurous and fun, and far more fulfilling than hiding your process or being ashamed of it. That said, the more time you can get to know yourself with yourself, the better. One way of doing that is a simple practical exercise. At the end of each day, take 10 minutes to reflect on what you enjoyed doing that day and what you didn't. Write down the activities and interactions that made you feel relaxed, happy, safe, validated, aroused, or fulfilled. Ask yourself how you can incorporate these more into your life, and if there are any you've neglected recently. Understanding your core identity helps you authentically align your life with genuine pleasure. This alignment not only enhances your sense of fulfillment, but also enriches your relationships by allowing you to present your true self openly and vulnerably. In the next section, we'll talk about navigating short-term versus long-term pleasure. But before we head there, please take a minute to subscribe to the channel and like the video. It helps us reach more people. Thanks. When we talk about pleasure, it's essential to understand the differences between long-term fulfillment pleasure and short-term indulgence. Long-term pleasure leads to happiness, fulfillment, and growth. It's about doing things that, in the moment, might feel challenging or uncomfortable, but bring lasting satisfaction. For example, working through a difficult conversation with your partner, learning to communicate more openly, or going to night school in addition to working full-time. These experiences might be hard or challenging, but they contribute to your overall happiness, pride, and self-confidence, and deepen your connection with yourself and your partner. In contrast, short-term indulgent pleasure, though satisfying in the moment, often leads to addiction and dissatisfaction. These pleasures can be temporary, like overeating, excessive screen time, shopping, or even cheating on your partner. These things tend to bring immediate gratification or suppression of negative emotions, but leave you feeling empty afterward. When relied upon too heavily, they can lead to emotional exhaustion, a sense of emptiness, or deep frustration in relationships. It's important to notice when you're leaning into short-term indulgences and when you're committed to long-term pleasure, which, though sometimes difficult, enriches you and your relationships more sustainably. That said, I can't emphasize enough the importance of indulging in indulgences. Your temporary daily pleasures are absolutely wonderful, and you deserve to enjoy them without an ounce of guilt. You just have to balance them with fulfilling your long-term desires and inner calling rather than relying on them alone. You'll never have a happy long-term connection if you expect it to always be pleasurable and never challenge you to grow. But you have to be compatible with your partner in the way you enjoy short-term pleasures and mutual indulgences in order to be able to survive the difficulties and get there. Remember, long-term pleasure and happiness tends to come from deepening connections, following a creative path that's genuinely connected to your inner calling rather than simply pursuing a paycheck, and from surrounding yourself with a balance of people who are like you in the ways you express love and are made to feel loved and validated. But you also need people who challenge you and help you expand, grow, and see where you're making mistakes. In a sense, you need to have the balance of the masculine energy of challenge and the feminine energy of nourishment and validation in your life. But you can't always expect a partner to offer both. So make sure you also prioritize community connections to balance out your romantic ones. Now, before we move on to the next section on compromise, take a minute to ask yourself, who in your life offers you these kinds of energies, the nourishing ones and the challenging ones? Is there one side of that spectrum that you gravitate to more and one you reject? How can you find more balance and embrace both of these energies in your life? Compromise is an essential part of long-term relationships, especially when it comes to practical, day-to-day matters. For example, partners often need to adjust their schedules, make joint decisions, or accommodate each other's needs for peace, balance, and practical reality. These practical compromises help ensure that your relationships and family function smoothly, especially when both people are genuinely working towards shared goals and responsibilities. However, compromise becomes harmful when it involves sacrificing core desires, needs, or fundamental pleasures. Fundamental incompatibilities about what is pleasurable or how you feel loved will eventually lead to deep dissatisfaction and resentment, no matter how much admiration or affection exists between you and your partner. Compromising on these crucial elements of self-expression can create an undercurrent of tension, anger, and frustration. Take this, for example. Imagine one partner values spending time together in physical affection, while the other doesn't see it as important. Constantly compromising on this core need, perhaps for the sake of peace, can lead to emotional dissatisfaction, disconnection, and even resentment and anger that explodes later on, often through passive-aggressive ways or gaslighting. Even if you love and respect someone deeply, the moment your essential pleasures or needs feel compromised, it's a signal that something isn't right. Continuing to suppress your desires to avoid conflict can lead to emotional exhaustion and a sense of emptiness, even depression. That means that sometimes the most authentic decision for both individuals may be to part ways, despite the love or admiration you have for each other. If you come to the realization that the relationship is no longer aligned with what makes you both feel truly seen, loved, and fulfilled, and maybe never was, no matter how scared you might be, it might be good to let go and move on, for both your sakes. That said, it's important to honor commitments and to manage conflict and separation with peace and empathy. So always make sure you share your process so that these issues don't come as a surprise to your partner. The bottom line is that authenticity thrives in pleasure-centered relationships. Pleasure-driven communication fosters an environment where experimentation is encouraged and allows both partners to explore new experiences without fear of judgment, enhancing intimacy and a feeling of emotional safety in the process. That said, it can also bring up a lot of fear of rejection and loss. But if you're not willing to face the unknown and trust that on the other side is true fulfillment, you'll be stuck in mediocre relationships and a constant background feeling that something's wrong. Recognizing when compromise has crossed the line into self-neglect is essential. Practical signs include frequently feeling resentment, repeatedly setting aside your personal desires or values, experiencing ongoing emotional exhaustion, or feeling disconnected from your own identity. If you consistently feel unseen, unheard, or unfulfilled, despite your efforts to accommodate, it's a clear signal that you need to reassess the balance of compromise in your relationship and ask yourself why you're doing it. Relationships built solely on compromise can become transactional, where love isn't love, but rather the relationship is about feeling safe or being provided for in some way. Embracing genuine pleasure invites spontaneity, joy, and authenticity back into your interactions. Rather than sacrificing your true desires for convenience or peace, embracing pleasure empowers you to communicate honestly about what truly fulfills you. It's risky, but in the end, it leads to far more fulfilling and exciting life. When both partners prioritize their genuine enjoyment, relationships thrive, infused with vitality, intimacy, and passion. The key isn't avoiding compromise altogether, but ensuring that the compromises you make are practical rather than betray a core alignment with your inner needs, joys, and divine calling in this world. Long-term happiness in relationships isn't sustained by avoiding conflict or maintaining routine. Instead, lasting fulfillment emerges from continuously connecting with and celebrating your genuine pleasures. Whether it's savoring simple daily rituals like sharing morning coffee together, taking evening walks, passionately engaging in creative projects such as cooking or painting, finding your best sexual alignment, engaging in sports, or exploring intellectual and spiritual curiosities. Prioritizing pleasure enriches your connection. This aspect of relationship is critical, and in an era where we don't marry or form intimate connections over practical survival needs anymore, it's crucial to acknowledge it. So if you have a partner but need to come out of your shell into your real self, you'll have to confront that and be honest. There are two possible outcomes. First, you find out that you actually have more in common underneath the facades than you knew, and you've both just been waiting for the other one to be brave and open the door to it. Or, second, you find out that there are fundamental incompatibilities in the connection, and that it would be better, though scary and possibly painful at first, to move on and find true happiness. If you aren't in a relationship at the moment, that's great. That means there are far fewer risks and many more rewards to walking down this path. The best place for you to start is with a simple commitment to yourself and an acknowledgement that finding a life of true happiness and pleasure is essential, and that you're not going to compromise on that. The next step is to better understand what exactly that means for you. You can start by asking these three questions. 1. What brings me the deepest sense of fulfillment and joy in my life right now? Take a few minutes every day to reflect on that and notice what you enjoyed and what you didn't. 2. What do I need to feel emotionally and physically nourished in a romantic relationship? Reflect on past experiences and make a clear list of the things that make you feel loved. Be completely honest when you make the list. 3. How do I prioritize my own desires without feeling guilty or selfish? And if you do feel guilt around pleasure, ask yourself what or who created that guilt in your life, and start exploring new philosophies that encourage true enjoyment in life. If you'd like to read through these questions again, you can find them in the description. And if you need one-on-one support for your journey, don't hesitate to get in touch. I'd love to help. Now, before you go, I've compiled a list of the different areas of life to give you a starting point when learning to find more pleasure in your life. The list is also in the description if you want to copy it after the video. There are 4 areas of life to look to for pleasure: physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. First, in the physical, look to these areas of life. 1. Exercise and movement. Physical activity like yoga, dancing, hiking, or going to the gym. 2. Diet and nutrition. Eating foods that nourish and satisfy, including mindful eating practices, balanced with the occasional enjoyment of comfort foods. 3. Self-care. Taking baths, getting massages, playing fun games, and getting proper sleep. 4. Sensual experiences. Feeling the warmth of the sun, enjoying the sensations of touch, or immersing yourself in music and nature. 5. Sexuality and intimacy. Exploring one's own body without pornography, using conscious sexuality practices, or engaging in ethical physical exploration with partners that you have clear agreements with. The second area of life is the emotional arena. The areas of life to look to are 1. Relationships. Prioritizing feeling seen, heard, and supported by friends, family, and partners. 2. Safety and vulnerability. Finding places where you are able to express your true feelings and desires without judgment or fear of rejection. 3. Self-acceptance. Accepting yourself fully, flaws, kinks, quirks, and all, without guilt or shame. 4. Creativity and play. Engaging in activities that allow you to express yourself authentically, such as art, music, dance, or other creative hobbies. The third area in which to find pleasure is the intellectual. The areas of life to look at are 1. Curiosity and exploration. Asking new questions, engaging with new ideas, philosophies, or skills, and expanding your worldview. 2. Problem solving. Engaging in challenging puzzles or intellectual debates. Learning how to ask good questions and not to settle until you get good answers. 3. Art and culture. Immersing in literature, music, film, theater, or any form of art that stimulates your mind. 4. Critical thinking and reflection. Analyzing and reflecting on ideas, emotions, and life experiences. The fourth area to find pleasure in is the spiritual. The areas of life to look at are 1. Connection with the divine. learning to connect to a higher power, however you understand or feel that power. 2. Mindfulness and presence, learning how to focus your senses and be present in the moment, even while your brain might be worried about other things. 3. Purpose and meaning, living in alignment with your values, passions, and inner calling. 4. Nature and solitude, finding peace and transcendence through time alone, ideally in nature. 5. Sacred rituals, engaging in spiritual practices like prayer, meditation, or ceremony. These can be borrowed from specific traditions or ones you create yourself. Spirituality is as personal as your emotionality and your physicality. Embracing a life of pleasure isn't only for yourself. When you truly embrace a life of pleasure, you give others around you permission to do it too. And when whole communities learn to focus on happiness and pleasure, we'll truly start to see an evolution into a more peaceful world. Please remember that pleasure isn't optional. It's essential. It enriches your relationships, ensures emotional and physical intimacy remains vibrant, and nurtures the individual growth necessary for mutual satisfaction. By embracing pleasure wholeheartedly, you lay the foundation for a genuinely fulfilling, vibrant, and deeply connected romantic relationship. And if you've watched this video to the end, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more people. See you next time. Thanks.